Sandy Wiley. Welcome to my mental health channel, where I talk about personality disorders. I talk about bad, unethical therapists. We talk some Freud. We talk some Jung. And mostly I let you know of my personal journey, 20 years, 2 decades of being a patient, and my mental illness, borderline personality disorder, my father schizophrenic, my mother narcissistic, my son traumatic brain injury. I've come through I have a long history, and I share that all with you. Just remember to be kind in the comments. You can have a different opinion. That's fine. I love to hear everyone's opinions about everyone's lives and everyone's thoughts, as long as you're kind to me and everyone else. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you like my channel, subscribe. It's free. It doesn't cost you a dime. So now, here's the $1 million question. It is, drum roll please, does therapy work? That's what we're going to talk about today in this video. Does going to therapy actually work? And I've been in therapy almost 18 years with all different psychologists. Not just psychologists, psychiatrists, social workers, therapists, that don't have a doctorate degree. They're just like, they're therapists, but they're not psychologists. Men, women, gay, straight, black, European, all walks of life. So in clinical settings, in home offices, just about everything. So I'm going to answer that question with a question. Don't you love when people do that? You ask them a question and they answer it with a question. If you ask me, well, does going to therapy work? Does it really help? I'm going to answer, does going on a diet help you lose weight? Does it? See, there's no one magical answer to that question. For me personally, therapy destroyed my life, okay? Some people might say a diet ruined me. I went on a diet and I gained 10 pounds. How many times you've heard that, right? Jesus, I went on this diet and I gained 10 pounds, right? Like, I went to therapy and I actually turned into a nutcase, I turned into an alcoholic. I turned into a porno queen. I turned into a kleptomaniac. I never had any of these problems before. And that, just like the person who said, I went on a diet and I gained 10 pounds. So I got worse. Or how many times have you heard people who have illnesses, right? And the treatment makes them worse. Like me. I went to a fertility specialist, right? Best in, at that time. And I became infertile. As soon as I stopped going to the fertility specialist, I got pregnant immediately. So there is your answer. Think about it. Does it work? Well, I'll tell you some of the things that therapy is, and I'll tell you other things that therapy isn't, and I'll let you be the judge. All right? I'll let you answer the question for yourself. Instead of me coming on here and say, yes, it does work, no, it doesn't work, I'm going to let you be the judge. Let me tell you what therapy isn't. If you're looking for some magic person to fix you, don't go to therapy, all right? Do not go to therapy. If you're looking for some magic person that will just fix you, right? Like I don't know, you bring your car into the auto mechanic and say, it needs this work done, and they work on it, and it gets fixed, right? Therapy isn't your auto mechanic. It isn't. You aren't a broken car, all right? That needs parts, or okay? So if you expect that, if you're the type of person that says, I'm going to therapy because therapy is going to fix me, then guess what? Don't go to therapy. Do not, because that is not what therapy is about. Okay? Just like a diet. If I tell you to go on this diet, there's all Weight Watchers. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't even keep up with the you know. I would tell you, unless you have a hormonal problem, a medical condition, or hormonal problem, or you genetically predisposed of being a certain weight, that the only way you're going to lose weight is to cut your calories and increase your exercise. Okay? You don't need a diet. Atkins diet or Weight Watchers diet, or because I don't keep up with it, counting this and counting that. Cut your calories and increase your exercise. Increase your activity, whatever activity. It doesn't have to be like running a treadmill. Who can do that? Only you can do that. So, if you expect some magic cure that the therapist is like an auto mechanic, you bring your broken parts in and he gets them fixed or replaces them with new ones, don't even go. Don't waste your time. Second, if you think your therapist is your friend, okay, they're not your friend, okay? A therapist isn't supposed to be like a friend. A lot of people say, I don't need a therapist because I got some really good friends that listen to me. It's not the same thing, okay? As if it's a good therapist, as a friend listening to you. Psychologists are trained. They have doctorate degrees. They go years and years in training and years of schooling, okay? They know if they're good psychologists. They just don't sit and listen. A lot of them do. A lot of them are bad psychologists, or give you advice like your friend does. They're not supposed to give you advice, all right? A good psychologist will make you think. They will ask you questions that make you think. They will plant a seed. So a friend isn't gonna think like that. A psychologist, a friend hasn't been trained in psychology. I mean, maybe your friend is a psychologist, but a good psychologist is not a friend. So if you think, oh, it's just like sitting there and talking to a friend, don't go. It's not going to work for you, all right? It's not going to work for you. Therapy is work, all right? If you don't think it's work, then it's not going to work. See, therapy, the patient is supposed to be doing most of the work, most of it. All right? Just like a teacher and a student, right? It's the student that's doing the homework, right? It's the teacher that's teaching, but the student, if the student goes to class and just, and daydreams, falls asleep, looks out the window, doesn't do their homework, are they going to get anything from that class? They have to do the work. They have to take the notes. The teacher isn't going to take the notes for you, right? The teacher isn't going to do the homework for you. So if you want to get something out of it, you got to do the work, all right? It's hard work. Because why is it hard work? People don't like to change. People like things the same. Even when things aren't necessarily great. just people are resistant. Most people now are resistant to change. They're resistant, you know. Hey, we all are. I'm resistant to change, you know. And you got to really, because therapy is all about change, right? That's why you're going there. You're going to therapy because you're not happy with the way things are. You want them to change. Either you're not happy with, I don't know, the way your relationships in your life, you're unhappy with your job in your life, your career choice, you're not happy with something in your life, and you want that to change. And the only person that can make that change, not the psychologist, is you. You are the only person to make that change. So if you think that you're going to sit there and chit chat like with a girlfriend and everything's going to be cool, don't go. All right? If you think that the therapist is like an auto mechanic that is just going to fix your broken parts, make you brand new, don't go. There's a lot of bad therapists out there that can mess you, make you even worse, you know. A lot of bad doctors out there. So how do you know, you know? How do you know? Like I said, a good psychologist will ask you the right questions. They won't tell you what to do. If someone tells you what to do, run out that door. Run. Okay? They don't tell you what to do. All right? And they just don't listen. If a psychologist listens and doesn't say or do anything, they just sit there and run out the door, because you know what? They're not helping you. You know, they're more than just an active listener, all right? You will know, how can I say this when most of all of them have been pretty bad in my eyes. They get paid huge amount of money. Most of the time they don't take insurance. So what do you can be reimbursed by your insurance, but it's only for a portion of the therapy. That means you have to put down the whole amount and you submit it, because they don't want to be bothered with all that, those loose ends or that red tape or going through all that paperwork. They don't want the paperwork anymore. They've gotten very lazy over the years. Before they would, most of them would take about any insurance, Nowadays, they don't. And even when they did, there's a big deductible. You still have to pay a co-pay. But more and more of them, because I look them up. I look up my old psychologist now, just for the heck of it. And they're charging like $300. And I'm not talking about Dr. Richard Geist, Harvard. I'm talking about Dr. Eugene Pagani now is charging $300, and he doesn't take insurance. This is the trend. This is the way they're going. They're going in this way. They don't want to deal with the paperwork. It's hours and hours, because I dated a psychologist for years. It's hours and hours of paperwork, and they got to do it on their own time. All right? So if they're working 40, 50 hours a week with patients, then they got to devote like half a Saturday just doing the paperwork. It's a lot, and they don't really, you have to fight for your money, and they don't want to be bothered with that. So it's big money, and you don't want to pay big money for someone just to listen to you, You want to pay big money for someone that's going to help you improve. And it takes, first of all, you need to have a good connection. You need to be able to trust that person. And a lot of them are untrustworthy. They're not trustworthy, all right? When I say they should ask you the right questions, I'm not saying they should ask you what kind of vibrator do you use. I had one of them ask me that. They shouldn't ask you inappropriate questions or questions you feel uncomfortable, all right? If they start asking you far out questions like, oh, how many times a week do you have sex? Run! Okay, run. They're not supposed to ask you inappropriate questions. They're supposed to ask you questions that make you think. Like, for instance, like take me, I drink like 2.5 glasses of wine every night. I cut back from 4 or 5 vodka drinks. If I went to a psychologist and they said, I wonder how it would feel if you only had 1 glass of wine. What do you think? You know, and then I'd say, well, I wouldn't feel, 1 glass of wine would do nothing for me, you know, it wouldn't affect me at all. And so they might ask me, so you really need that, like that chemical, for the alcohol to chemically alter you um, in order to feel good. You know, they would just ask the questions. They wouldn't act like, you know, they're not trying to judge you, you know, like they're just trying to make you think. So, but they're not going to ask you inappropriate questions, all right? And therapy never involves touch, ever, ever, ever. If you want a hug and you ask for a hug and they're okay with that, it should be a quick hug. It shouldn't be holding you in their arms, you know, like lovers, like mine did. Holding and a quick hug when the patient asks. Other than that, your therapist should never, ever touch you, ever. If you ask for a hug and they feel comfortable with, that's okay. But a hug is not holding. You know the difference, right? When you hold someone like you hold a baby or you hold your lover, a hug is like, and release. And release. It isn't, you know what I mean? I can't put my stopwatch and is that clocking? God, it's been a minute already. Oh, going on 2 minutes. Yeah, that's, no. So, what I'm trying to say here is the whole point of this video is, does therapy work? And my answer was I answered with a question, does a diet work? All right? And only you can answer that, right? You are the person who has to make the changes. Whether you're on a diet or trying to lose weight, or whether you're going to therapy to try to get better. You're the one in the driver's seat. Remember, you're hiring that person, okay? It's a business. It's not a friendship. It's a business, okay? If I'm hiring you for something, we're in a business, all right? If I'm paying you $200, $300 an hour to help me with my problem, baby, believe it, it's not a friendship. It's a business, okay? And as a business, you expect results, right? If you pay for a service, right? I go to the dentist, I'm paying the doctor to, you know, clean my teeth or to, I don't know, fill a cavity or whatever it is, right? It's a service. I expect results from that service. So if you are in a therapy and you see, well, guess what? I'm not getting any better. And if you're like me, I only got worse. I was stupid. I admit I was stupid. I should have saw that I'm not getting any better. And how long should you give it? I can't answer that question. You've got to answer that question. If you ask me, how long is it going to take me to lose 10 pounds? It takes as long as it takes. What if you say, well, it's been 3 months and I gained 10 pounds? See, only you can answer these questions, right? If it's been 3 months and you're not doing well, 3 months isn't a long time in therapy. Well, what's a long time in therapy? I'd say a good, honest amount of time of really trying to get better and working with someone that you feel comfortable with, that you trust. I'd say give it a good 6 months to a year, you know, at least that, 6 months to a year. And if after 6 months to a year you're not getting better, then I'd really reconsider either looking for another therapist or taking some time off and reevaluate, is going to therapy helpful? And now if you're getting worse, just get out immediately. You know what I mean? It's not supposed to make you worse like it did me. It's not supposed to turn you into an alcoholic. If you're getting worse, get out. All right? But if you're not getting better right away, and the therapist is trustworthy and you trust them and you feel comfortable, like there's a good connection, you feel comfortable, you're not, having a nervous breakdown like me with Brad Pitt. You feel like, you feel good about going. And when you leave therapy, you feel good after you left. You don't feel like riddled with anxiety attacks or, crippled. And, feel good when you go, before you go, feel good when you leave. You feel you have a good connection, rapport with the therapist. They understand you. Give it at least 6 months to a year, and see if anything happens. Then you can reevaluate. But remember, you, the patient, has got to do the majority of the work. Sure, they're there to assist you, all right? Just like a teacher is there to teach. But the student, if the student doesn't do anything, they ain't going to learn. They're going to flunk out of that class. They got to do the homework. They got to listen and take notes, right? So, there's your answer. I mean, it did not work for me. It made me much worse. But I don't want to come on here and try to tell everyone don't go to therapy. I told you that a good therapist, you'll have a good connection, you'll trust them, a good rapport. They'll ask you questions. They'll give you there'll be an exchange. They'll give you feedback. They won't just sit there and go, yeah, like that. Or they won't talk about them. Never have someone, it's all right if they say something, in relation to what you're saying. But if they're talking about themselves, run. The whole focus of the therapy is on the client, you, not on the therapist. Remember that. The whole focus is on you. They're in a position of power, all right? It's a business relationship. It is not a friendship. It's not a romance. Never, ever. There's no sex involved. There's no going out for coffee or anything like that. This is not a friendship. This is a business. You are seeking help, all right? But unlike other businesses, like an auto mechanic, they're not going to fix you like that, all right? They're going to help you to help yourself. See the difference? They're going to help you to help yourself. And you have to want to help yourself, because if you don't want to help yourself, guess what? It ain't working. The therapy is not going to work. You can have the best psychologists out there. And if you don't do the work, it's not going to work, okay? You got to do the work to make therapy work. So I hope I enlightened you about therapy. And, there's a lot of, I could go on and do like 100 videos on it, Some therapists do emails, respond to emails, some don't. I think when you first go to therapy, you should get all that straightened out. Do you read emails? Do you respond to emails? What do I do if I have a crisis? Do you take text messages? Can I call you if I'm in a crisis? I think that all this stuff got to come out right at the get-go, right at the starting gate, okay? You got to ask these questions. You got to know what to expect. What happens when I'm in a crisis? Can I call you? When is it okay to call? When isn't it? Can I write you? Is it okay to email you? You got to bring all this stuff out right away, okay? Any thoughts or any questions, you got to get it out, because you got to know what to expect. And you have to see if the therapist, remains consistent in what they say. They can't go flip-flop, you know what I mean? And they have to, what they say, they should honor. If they just talk a good game and they don't honor it, oh, sure, call me, you could text me anytime you want, oh, sure. Then they ignore you. Like mine did in a crisis. You told me I could call and you would call me back, but you didn't. Then don't tell me you will. You know what I mean? You got to be upfront with people, especially it's a business. It's a patient-doctor. Okay? You're the patient, client, they're the doctor. All right, I think I'll end it now. Let me know what you think. If you've had good experiences, bad experiences, if you've gone to therapy, let me know. I'm dying to find out about you guys. Let me know what your experience was if you have gone in the comments. And be nice. Till next time, take care.